disappeared in late August. Later, family members testified that Manson had ordered them to kill Shea, cut up his body into 9 pieces, and bury them around the ranch. After Shea's murder, Manson led his family to another commune, Barker Ranch, on the edge of Death Valley. In October, local police investigating car thefts caught up with the family, raiding Barker Ranch twice in 3 days. Caught hiding in the bathroom cabinet, Manson was arrested on the second raid and charged with grand theft auto and arson. He would never be set free again. While the family was in jail after the raids on Barker Ranch, the investigators got their big break. Susan Atkins, held for the murder of Gary Hinman, boasted to her cellmates that she'd been in on the Tate and LaBianca murders as well. The cellmates told the police.
Among other things, Susan Atkins told her that the family was going to get a lot larger, and they were going to start traveling throughout the United States and start ripping off families in small American towns. She told these 2 girls about the Manson family's plans to murder celebrities like Sinatra, Steve McQueen, Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Tom Jones, and in particularly brutal ways. The very next day after she came forward was when I was assigned to the case. I think I was assigned November the 18th, 1969. And from that moment on, I lived with the case exclusively for about 2 years.
Now under investigation for the Tate LaBianca killings, Manson appeared in court for a preliminary hearing on prior charges of auto theft. Some of the girls from the commune were there as spectators. The LA police wanted to keep silent about the investigation, but the news had leaked to reporters, and they were threatened himself hadn't been present when the Tate and LaBianca murders took place. To prove he was responsible, prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi argued that the family did nothing without Manson's explicit instructions.
For instance, they wouldn't even eat at night unless he told them it was time to eat. When they did eat, after they ate, he would sit on a large rock, play his guitar, philosophize on life. Everyone else would sit in a circle around him, and no one else would talk unless he spoke to them first. If these people were slavishly obedient to him, wouldn't do anything unless he told them to do it, it was extremely improbable that they would go out on their own and commit some of the most horrendous murders imaginable.
But defense attorney Paul Fitzgerald says they're saturated by the publicity. Proceedings went ahead in Los Angeles. Manson took particular pleasure in trying to intimidate spectators, lawyers, and judges alike.
One time during a pre-trial hearing back in judges' chambers, we were there almost the entire day. He started staring at me. So this goes on for about 20 minutes, and I'm hoping that something is going to happen to allow the staring to cease without his thinking that I looked away. Strangely enough, his hands started to tremble a little bit. And I said, what's wrong, Charlie, you know? How come your hands are trembling? He said, I said, are you frightened of me? What, how come your hands are trembling? He said, no, why am I frightened of you? I said, well, you just seem to be acting strange. He says, no, but you'll see, he says, the problem is you got me wrong. He says, you think I'm a bad guy? And I said, yeah, Charlie, I think you are a bad guy. And I said, Charlie, I said, listen, I'm going to convict you. But I said, after you get a fair trial.
I'm upset with.
And he continues to show absolutely no remorse for the crimes he committed.
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's going to happen when I get out of here? You've got it stuck in your brain that I murdered somebody. What do you want to call me a murderer for? I've never killed anyone. I don't need to kill anyone. I think it. I have it here.
By definition, if he expresses remorse, he's admitting his complicity in these murders. And he'll say he's responsible for the murders. He says, I'm responsible for the murders, the way the Beatles were responsible for the murders because of their songs, the way violence on TV is responsible for the murders, but he's never admitted his complicity in these murders, so he cannot express remorse. Apart from that, Manson, and this is another indication of his intelligence, he tends to speak in riddles. You listen to him and you don't know what he's saying, but if you type up what he's saying, or if you listen closely to what he's saying, there's usually an underlying message. And you have to be pretty bright to speak in riddles.
Maybe I haven't done enough. I might be ashamed of that, for not doing enough, for not giving enough, for not being more perceptive, for not being aware enough, for not understanding, for being stupid. Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something. The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day.
I don't think he's insane. He's able to assess his weaknesses and his strengths. He knows exactly what he's doing. But if he can convince people, the more he can convince people that he's extremely unhinged and crazy, he thinks it's more frightening. Actually, I don't think an insane person is quite as frightening, but I think in his mind, if he can act crazy, if he can act insane, he's terrifying people. And fear turns Manson on. If he can put people in a state of fear, if he can make them fear him, he likes that very much.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.